Hi, Liv. Yay.
Good morning. Good afternoon. I don't even
Oh.
know what day it is, so like, I'm not gonna get time zones right.
Yeah, I don't understand time anymore at all.
No.
Hi, Rita. Oh, everybody's in bed. I love it. This was a yeah, I feel like we're in interesting energy right now. It was feeling really tender earlier. I've just been working for the past few hours, so I'm in a slightly different zone now. But like when I got up, it's just like really like
Yeah,
permeable and open. And I mean, not that open is a bad thing necessarily, but just
yeah, just stuff getting in.
stuff
Yeah,
staying. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Oh, let's see. Oh yeah, low pressure hurricane on its way here. Yeah, the I think the Earth is shifting too. A lot of things are moving up and out. Right. Well, let's see what wants to happen today. I'm feeling like okay. So what I'm sort of seeing is like I feel like we've worked with this before, but like almost like a flexible golden net. It feels like just some extra protection for all of us would be really great right now. Yeah, it's like gold chainmail, but like really finely woven, almost like a cross between a really soft knit sweater and golden chainmail. Cool. Okay, so it's like it's dropping over each of us. Um, okay, good. Done. Okay, cool. And actually, it feels like it's not just protecting us, it's almost like it's drawing out anything that isn't ours and moving it to the other side of the golden thing so that we don't have to work so hard. Okay, yeah, that feels like a thing right now. It feels like we're still working. So this is just what I'm getting. We're still working in the old way. We're still working really hard to clear our space when we don't have to work that hard anymore. We don't have to work as hard to keep everything clear. We can just declare, I am clear. Or, if you feel somebody else's energy in your space, just like, no, it feels like very sovereign, very declarative, and very quick. Like we don't have to spend the amount of time like that we've had to do in the past, which is great. I feel like I've spent most of my life just like um this is I identified and I'm choosing to move beyond my invisibility cloak this morning. I'm looking for new garb. Yes, I love it. Yeah, actually, so with the invisibility cloaks, that's another thing. Like it's almost like we're being asked to stop even identifying with the invisibility cloak and just be like, no, I'm visible. I am here. I am seen. I am safe being seen. Just like really like claiming your divinity, claiming your sovereignty, claiming your birthright. And your birthright is whatever you feel it is, whatever you've always known it is, but feel like you've kind of like been like wading through to get to. It's really about claiming it and owning it right now because nobody else can claim it for us. No one else can own it. No one else can show us the way specifically. Although other people can of course help. We're being really asked to claim it. Okay, so yeah, the question that's coming through right now is what do you choose to claim, like specifically in the next like month or two? What are you really choosing to claim and own? It can be specifically around channeling or it can be around anything. If you have an answer now, I'd love to hear it, but otherwise, just kind of marinate on that and see, what feels good to really choose and own and claim. I'm not even sure what mine is. What is mine? What am I choosing to claim? Okay, for me, I'm choosing to claim my worthiness, especially around being seen, my worthiness of being seen as, as the things I do for work, and also just as a person, as a human, or not as a human, whatever I am.
Mine is just to claim me.
Yeah. That feels powerful for you.
Yeah, because everything has been moving so quickly, and I've basically been allowing everything. I've been prioritizing everything other than me.
Yeah. And this energy does not support that anymore.
No.
I mean, I don't think it ever really did, but at this point, like, we're going to get shown up if, so that's,
and I found it really interesting when you said before that about, clearing and not needing to spend a lot of time doing it, because I've been feeling really clogged. And so when I do try to clear, and because of everything else that's been going on, I've sort of been like, I don't have time. And so all I've been sort of doing is like, clear me.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that's working or not. It mustn't be, because, well, maybe it's not working as well as it could, because I still feel clogged. But yeah, that's all I can sort of manage. But if that's all I have to manage, then I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Well, it feels too like your higher self wants to step in and clear you. What might be really powerful for you right now is, before you go to sleep at night, or if you have time to take a nap or something before you sleep at any point, just asking your higher self, okay, please clear me as I rest. Please clear me of anything that isn't mine. And then that will get you clear enough to the point where you can start claiming things in a different way. It's impossible to claim anything when we're so clogged up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say that. Maybe it's not, but that feels really true to me.
It feels right to me.
Yeah, that feels right. Okay, well, let's see what wants to come through today around our channeling. Ooh, okay. Okay, I'm feeling the brain. Feels like something. Okay, is it something to do with the brain? Yes. Is it something to do with recoding the brain? No. Is it something to do with? Okay. All right, here's what I'm getting. Our old brains are being removed, and we are getting new brains. We are getting new upgraded brains that are going to serve us. Yes, Rita, let's see where this goes. And then yes, lobotomies for the win. Yeah, for sure, right? We're getting upgraded brains. Okay, let me follow this image. Let me see what's going on here. Okay, so it's specifically, it's still our brain. It's like I don't love the word higher, but it's like the multi-dimensional version of your brain. It's like the ascended version of your brain. It's not the 3D brain. It's like the 3D, maybe it's more that the 3D experience of the brain, the 3D experience of like really relying on our brain for everything and always needing to have an answer and always needing to know, that is being removed. Like that desire, that piece of that 3D experience of having a brain is being removed, so that we can step into the 4, 5, 6, I guess maybe even 7D experience of the human brain. Okay, so is this a healing? Is this happening now? What's going on? Okay, so just breathe with this for a few minutes. This is a healing that's happening. What I'm getting is that it's quelling our need to know. Because our higher self knows, our higher self, our channel, our intuition, our guidance knows, but our brain doesn't know what it is to be in 5D because our brain hasn't experienced that. So like this brain has maybe had glimpses of that, but doesn't understand it. So the brain will keep trying to kind of pull you back into what it knows, into like that 3D experience, when that's not where we are anymore. So this is helping our brain. So I'm seeing as like our bodies and like our hearts and everything are like up here in 5D, but like our brain is still like clinging to 3D, and there's like a string between us and our brain. And so this healing is like helping the brain step into this new experience. So it's soothing the brain's need to know, it's soothing the brain's need to control. And of course, this will really beautifully serve your channeling. Okay, so it's asking us to stay present with this energy. Well, you can drift off. It's just asking me not to go on yet. Okay, there we go. Good. Well, that's cool. Whew. I'm feeling that. I'm going to put my head on the desk for a moment. Excuse me. Okay. Whee! Fun. Okay, yeah, Rita, if you want to tell a story about this morning, have at it, and I will feel into what we're doing next.
Well, I wasn't sleeping very well last night, and maybe it's the storm moving in, or I don't know what. So sometimes I'll feel into my body, or imagine the white light, or imagine the golden light, and compare, just like I entertain myself for hours. And so I don't know, like I finished this Sonia Choquette book that I had borrowed from a friend and met her for coffee yesterday, and then sort of thanks for doing the book. I had the cards, some cards of hers, and I said, "Do you want a reading?" And I like kind of did my first reading for somebody besides myself with
awesome.
her table, and it was very well received. We both felt lighter afterwards. So I can really feel a lot changing, and something that I pull, I don't know, it all feels like fortune cookies to me, right? You just get it, and then you interpret it.
Yeah,
So
that's exactly it.
So what I kind of got somewhere that felt external was, it's go ahead, don't wait anymore. And I'm like, write my book? And I'm like, no, that's too external. I wasn't getting a yes on that one. It's like, no, not exactly. And I'm like, well, it's kind of like the book, though, which is I've got this idea about writing a guidebook for angels and imagination world, which has to do with the wisdom of the body. Like, what is the body in it? So I just love what you just said about the heart knows, the neurons know, but the brain. So I'm like, okay, I'm just like, I'm going to study this Franklin method stuff, and I'm not going to feel like I've just got this invisibility cloak between my body and my mind. I can't, I can't. It's like, come on, can I not just feel that I have clavicles? What? So along these lines, kind of a little parallel thing was that my son has moved to Virginia with this girl that he's been with for a few months now, and she has a 2.5-year-old who's just adorable. And I was like, oh my gosh, an almost grandchild. Oh my gosh, almost. And so I just dote on him, but then the other day, so she's posted stuff on Instagram, right? So she posted something on Instagram about him at the Smithsonian Museum, because they're up there in Virginia. And and the dinosaurs and how much you love the dinosaurs. So I write, I love the dinosaurs, and said, like, comment not taken. And I wrote again, and then I tried a new comment not taken. I'm like, I bet she's blocked me. I bet she hates me. Can you imagine what my brain is willing to do? I'm like, what? And I said, well, I've got evidence for it. Oh yeah, real strong evidence. And so I thought, okay, I can practice some of my stuff here. I can just, what if I'm bathed in light? Do I believe? And what if I'm just like trying to shroud myself in darkness and no, somebody caught a glimpse of me? Am I willing to chide myself back into my hole with, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm trying the light one. I've done that other one for years. It doesn't feel good. I'm like, well, yeah, remember that time in second grade? And I'm like, stop. Just stop. Let me just try the light. I'm just going to try the light for a few minutes. Do you mind? It's like, okay, fine. It's kind of talking to my ego or whatever. And so that I just imagine this light body and imagine the light body. And I'm like, okay, if I'm in a light body, what do I think? And I'm like, well, there could be other reasons. And so, like, I was in the bath. I keep pointing that way because I was in the bathroom and, kind of finishing. And then I came back and looked at my phone, and there was a text from her then and there. She goes, because I had written her a text and said, I'm not getting through. And she hadn't answered the text. I said, well, that's for sure, man. Like, she's not immediately replying to you ever. Why are you doing this to yourself? So I'm just kind of, then really I did. I sort of felt the invisibility cloak, and I thought, okay, thank you. This has served me. It has been important to hide my genitals in Catholic school. It has been important to not be so vulnerable. It's just been important, but it's getting moldy. It's like, no, there's places. You need some air and light in those kind of places too.
Yeah.
So, I really wanted to tell that story to somebody, but I couldn't imagine who to tell it to. So thanks for hearing it.
Yeah, no, there's so many beautiful things in that, because we're all being triggered right now with those, those kinds of things where something, kind of relatively innocuous happens, and then we go to like a deep, dark place with it. But really, that trigger just happened so that we turn on the flashlight and go in and see like what's still crawling around in there that's ready to, be like, okay.
Yesterday, she was having trouble posting herself. I'm like,
yeah. And I love that after you did the light and you like brought in the light and then she replied, it's like once we've received whatever it was, sometimes things shift. It's like, oh, that wasn't what I thought it was at all. And
I was also following this woman that we were high school, but I won't say friends, right? Because I just looked up too much to her. I know, and I was kind of getting, it's like, oh, part of my seeming safety is my putting myself down, right? My own self-esteem as toxic habit, AKA protective shield.
Yeah.
And so I found this, and so she came down with cancer this year, and I somehow ended up on a prayer list from a friend of a friend to high school. It was a small 72 girl high school, so we kind of knew each other, and I got on the list. So I'm adult now, and I can reply and send a card, and then I found her in some pictures I had in the yearbook, and she'd written, why don't, like a senior year, it's like, I hope you have a good, graduation, and I've never thought you liked me. And I'm like, no, I just thought you were way fucking more cool than me, and I didn't dare associate with you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I and then this one friend who's kind of a real groovy girl, she was closer friends with a closer friend of mine, right? But we didn't ever go out to get a hamburger together, exactly, kind of the high school stuff. But I did trust her, and she wrote, Wendy, her name was Wendy. Wendy taught me how to smoke cigarettes, and Wendy taught me, she was so groovy, and I'm like, Cindy, thank you, because then I thought, what I remembered is at the time in 1967, the associations had a song called Windy. Everyone knows it's windy. I don't know if you know it, but it's a gorgeous little song. Who's peeking out from under the stairway? Smiling at it, but it's got things like now she's above the clouds, above the clouds, above the clouds, and a rainbow, and it's like, okay. So I wanted to put a link to the tune, but I couldn't find one that sounded like it sounds in my head. So I just copied the lyrics and I wrote a reply to the group of, oh, so sad, give her give her so sad, I'm sorry. But Siggy put, well, a little bit cheerier. I said, okay, Signy has given me permission, right, to the courage to post lyrics, see below, so just as the PS. And two people, and then I'm like, oh, they're going to hate me. I'm so irreverent. But two people have said, oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah. I think we're like starting to slowly crack open and let ourselves be seen and let ourselves be loved. And, as you're talking, I'm seeing all the places in my life where I probably need to still do some work because I'm still like, really? This is still happening? Just being really unhappy about the way things are going. And just like flooding it with light, flooding it with love, just giving it space, really shining that flashlight and letting the little wormies crawl up to the surface and just, sun themselves a little bit. Poor little guys. They've been trapped in the mud for a really long time.
I wondered, I guess there might be some kind of, so I pulled two cards this morning, and one of them was like boundaries, and then the other one was it's a team effort. And I'm like, well, that's kind of interesting. But what I kind of got out of it was that I'm not supposed to be reaching out so much anymore, but instead the image, these little stick figures just had like outlet plugs. It's like, just be available.
Yeah.
Plug into me and not feel like I'm the one who's just at the end of the cord trying to find a place to plug into.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting that you pulled the boundaries card with that as well, because allow people to plug into you, but not too much.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was an amazing paradox too of it all. I really love that.
That is really interesting. I've gotten similar guidance around like, okay, stop reaching out so much. Just kind of like be present and be available, but be very, very conscious of my energy. And then when someone does want to plug into me, then kind of check and make sure, do I want to allow them to do that? And to what extent? I think the boundary.
Stay in my own skin rather than, oh, how's your skin doing? Oh, I could fix that. Then you'll love me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I wondered maybe this is maybe the light body would take care of it, but I kind of got an image because of this wreck, it's like, I could maybe imagine either with myself or maybe you ladies know this kind of stuff and are interested in it, is just a little bit of psychic surgery where somebody can actually take some tweezers and get some of those wormies that are a little bit harder to get out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Is there a specific wormy that you're thinking of?
Well, the one that was coming to me wasn't anything specific. It's just that I feel like some of these boundaries, like, this thing got caved in. And so the right side has overcompensated all the soreness on my right rib. But I don't think it's that. I think it's because it's been trying to be right and be, mental and all that, be rational and right this whole time instead of trusting the left, this brain.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what we're being asked to do right now is really like channel for ourselves, like channel our own healing, in precisely the way that, you are. And that feels really powerful right now. It feels so powerful to be able to just go in and say, okay, what's here that is ready to be seen, is ready to be honored, is ready to be sent into the light, is ready to be loved. And then as it dissolves, new things start to open up, like your third eye opens a little wider, or your wings expand, or, you get some new superpower that you didn't know you had. I think it's like behind every, and we know this, but it's sometimes hard to attach knowing to actual experience. But we know that when we look into the darkness, when we kind of reach into whatever the gross bit of the experience is, and we do bring it into the light, then there's something kind of magical behind that. Whether it's, it's a new psychic ability, or it's it's just a lightness, it's an ease around that specific thing that we haven't felt in a long time. So that's really fun. It's really fun. Oh, one thing I've done, I got guided yesterday. I realized, so one of the things I've been doing, and I don't know if you guys have been led in this direction too, but I've been feeling really guided to clear. Just like I cleared out my house. Like I went through my entire storage closet. I, touched everything that I own and gave a lot of it away to Goodwill, and only kept the things, and cleaned. And I'm doing a cleanse right now because my body wants nutrition, just like all of the things. And it really feels like, okay, being prepared. I don't know what for. I don't know what I'm being prepared for, but being prepared. And so one of the things that I noticed when I was going through all of my stuff and my notebooks and whatnot, I have a tendency to, take notes, because I get, as much as I love channeling for myself, I love getting readings from other people. I love working with other healers. I just love it. It's my favorite thing to do. And what I'll do is I will, I'll take notes from those sessions, and I'll carefully copy those notes into some nice notebook. And I have like all of these nice notebooks in my storage. And then I realized I would channel for myself and then just throw it away. I would be like, oh, okay, fine, and I get what I needed from it from that day. And then I just like throw it away. Amber, what are you doing? So I went out yesterday and I bought myself a nice notebook, and this is just for my channeling. Like when I channel for myself, this is where it goes. Yeah. And side note, it helps me keep more organized, because I just throw things everywhere and then I have to go through it, and it's an overwhelming.
Perfect fuchsia color too. Perfect.
Yeah, I looked at that. I was like, yep, this is it. This is the one. But yeah, it feels like really starting to honor the channeling that we do for ourselves, and honor the channeling that we do at the same level that maybe we honor other people's channelings. That feels really, really, and a big part of that, stepping into your divinity, stepping into your sovereignty. And a big part of this whole ascension process, whatever we're going through right now, healing triggers, healing old wounds, like basically we're clearing everything that can't come with us into whatever's coming. And so, yeah, it's really, that feels really, really powerful. Like honor everything that comes through you, and buy yourself a
getting the light. When I was in the bathroom and I was turning to the light instead of the persistent feelings of, oh, she must know I'm not good enough, and that's why she's unfriended me on Instagram. I wonder if I should look up if the person can really do that. I'm like, stop, don't even. So I'm like, oh, I know, Harry Potter did Ridiculoso.
Yeah, no, I did see that. I love that. And actually, so one of the women in the Trailblazers Mastermind just went to Harry Potter Wizarding World with her kids. I have never been so jealous in my life. I'll just say, I really want to go. So I got out, when I was going through my storage, I got out all my Harry Potter books, and they're now, they were in my storage. I don't know what I was thinking. Now they're in my bookshelf, and I will be rereading them, because I think she's just brilliant. I think she downloaded she downloaded magic for us. So yeah, Ridiculoso. I love it. Yay. Okay, let me go in and see what else wants to be, what wants to come through for us today. Okay, well, this isn't technically a practice session, but what I got was that Liv has a piece for us and Rita has a piece for us. So if you guys have, I guess it could be a story, maybe Rita, you've already shared yours, or maybe there's a bit of channeling that you've done for yourself that feels really profound. It just feels like there's a piece of this session that wants to come from each of you. So feel into that, see what shows up.
I've got something. Raise my hand. Old habits die hard, man. So all this talk about triggers and old stuff being dredged up still, so freaking boring.
Still, right?
Keeps happening. But what I've been experiencing and what I've been sitting here going, oh, I should. And when you said that, Amber, I'm pointing at the screen, pointing at your face, but you can't say that. I literally just started typing something into the message, the chat box. So I thought, oh, look, I've got to share this, but whatever. But what I've been receiving and experiencing recently is like I've had a heap of shit coming up. But what I've been receiving is that it's not a matter of necessarily clearing it, but it's easier to either step past that trigger or receive whatever it is that's coming up and then letting it go. This isn't, hang on. As soon as I choose to step into faith and trust when I'm triggered about something, it's almost as if the trigger is gone almost instantly, and I don't necessarily need to deal with the shit in the way that I used to, in the way that we used to, but it's like that energy is just instantly moved on. And so as soon as if I'm triggered, if I allow myself to go, well, what is the reality of that situation? We know what the truth is. And if we allow ourselves to then go and step into that truth immediately, it's like the trigger is gone and then things instantly get better.
Yeah.
So to use a really dumb example, and I'm like, okay, so yeah, basically I'm in grade 5 a lot of the time, but so this man I'm involved with, which is terribly complicated, and you guys know a bit about it, and there will be times when he's also idiotic. Like he'll do things like he just leaves his phone places, and because we don't get to see each other that often, like the phone is kind of our lifeline. He might not see it like that, but it is. And so there will be times when I won't hear from him for a while, and it gets me. I get very anxious about it because of various other things in the background that mean that something bad might be going on and whatever. Very occasionally, I step into that space of, have I done something? Is there something wrong? Is there is he mad at me? Mm-hmm. And as soon as I go, don't be stupid. Like, that there's going to be something external going on. There's, it's not you. You've done this work. It's like, why are you allowing yourself to, like, you don't need to go there again. You don't need to. Within about, I'm actually saying the words, you can trust this. You can have faith in this. Within like 3 or 4 minutes, I will get a text from him saying, "Oh, sorry, my phone was dead. Sorry, are you okay?" Blah blah. So it's a dumb example, but
that's a perfect example. It's a perfect example.
But as soon as you do that, it's just like it's like the universe just wants to clear the way for us. It's my challenge, of course, is to remember, like most of the time, despite the fact that all this shit that's going on everywhere else, in my life at the moment. That is kind of the one thing that is working, that it's like we don't actually even need to work at it or not pay attention to it, but because we have to pay some attention to it, but it's not all furrowed brow and angsty, I'm dealing with my shadows and that sort of thing. We can, it's just a really quick thing. And sorry, I'm losing my mind now. Anyway, I think that's probably about it.
No, but the trust and that trust and surrender that's such a big part of what I've been getting the past few months too. It's just like, trust it. And you don't need to do as much inner work as you think you do, or you used to. You just step into trust. Can you, because for me in that area, I basically had to break up with someone a few months ago because he just was not showing up, and it was driving me fucking insane. So I just I had to pull the plug, and there was a lot of, so it tempted me to go back into that shame spiral of oh, did I do it wrong? Where could I have done things better? What could I have, I've been there so many times with various relationships, and the guidance just keeps coming through. It's what, can you allow that to be perfect? Can you allow it to have been exactly what it needed to be? Can you allow yourself to just trust and, just know that love is coming. Just know that love is coming. Just know that love is coming. It's okay. Yeah. And then it's actually been a very different breakup experience for me.
Yeah. And sorry.
No, that's it. Because trust and surrender, the things that people have been saying to me for decades, but now I'm finally getting.
Yeah. And it's almost as if we don't, because we've done all that inner work and shadow work, and which is not to say we don't need to keep doing it, because there's always going to be stuff coming up, but because we've spent so much time angsting around that sort of thing, it's we don't have to consciously do anything now to step into trust.
Yeah.
We don't have to spend that time that we used to going, oh, what is trust and how do I do that and what is faith and how do I surrender, and because we've been there, because we know what it is and what that place is, it's almost a matter of just saying to ourselves, no, I can trust this.
Yeah.
It's not because I've done this inner work, I can trust where I am, and we don't have to, we can trust ourselves, and we can also trust that all this external stuff, it's not us. There are so many external vectors, I don't know what that means, that operate on us, but we don't need to let them affect us, because we can step into this place of faith and trust.
Yeah.
I don't know where vectors is a terrible word in my world, because
I love the word vectors. I've used it before.
I actually love it too. I was when you said that, I was oh yeah, there it is. That's it.
year 12 maths, my final year of high school, and we got to doing vectors in the course syllabus in August or September of that year. Our final exams are in November, and I was just full up with maths, and I didn't know what vectors, I could barely handle them. But I remember walking into the final exam and someone going, what's a vector? And I was oh, at least I know what a vector is. So when I had that word pop in just now, I was oh, are you sure?
Well, and I think actually that's something that's been coming really clear to me too. Things will just pop in, and I didn't used to credit that as channeling. I would just think, oh, it's my brain, or, oh, I'm just thinking. But no, when things just pop in, that's the channel. And so I've been starting to pay attention to that. Even with silly things, yesterday I was cleaning and just doing all sorts of stupid house stuff. And it just kept popping into my mind to go to this certain shopping mall. And I was well, I do want to get out of the house, but why do I want to go there? I don't know. Why do I want to go there? Okay, I'll just go. Like, cause it kept popping in. It popped in like 4 times. I was like, okay, so I'm going. So, so I went, and it was perfectly pleasant, and I got some of the things I needed to get. But then I got guided to this store to get and I was like, oh, I need a present for my cousin's son who's having his 4th birthday next weekend. And if I hadn't come today, I would have put it off and then panicked, and I would have made my Saturday very stressful. And so instead, I was like literally just guided to this adorable little monkey shop, and I walked into this toy store. I started panicking because toy stores are very overwhelming, and I don't know what 4-year-olds want. And then my eyes got taken to a Light Bright, which was something I had when I was a kid and I loved, and it had 4+ on it, and he's turning 4. So I'm like, done. So I took it up. It was exactly the amount that I wanted to pay for a kid's birthday gift. They asked if I wanted it wrapped. I was like, yes, I do. And I walked out. I was like, oh, that is something that I would have worried about all week. That's just done. That's just taken care of. That's why I went to the shopping mall. I can go home now. And it was like kind of silly, but also it felt perfect. It felt really guided. And it was because I trust the thing that popped into my brain, and just, and I think that's one of the most beautiful things about this channeling is we learn to trust what pops in so much more powerfully, especially because when we're doing it for ourselves, we can think ourselves out of it. But when we're channeling for someone else that we don't know, we have to trust what pops right in. We have to, because that's all we have to go on. And when we do, and the more we trust that first thing that pops in, the more people are like, whoa, how did you know? I'm like, I don't. I still don't. It just popped in and now it's gone, So yeah, I think that's really, really fun. So Rita, is there anything that's popped in for you, or was the story, because you shared a lot, so that might have been it, but.
Well, I just wanted to reflect back, that hashtag me too, with what you're saying, insofar as looking outside myself for answers, and because I'm not trusting my insides, because, I'm talking about trusting the body because that's my path. That's not comes naturally to me. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe when I was a little girl, and I could feel myself as just, flowing light vectors and, I was like, okay, I'm experiencing that. But then the way I was treated and told to hide, and it's just what is contradictory. I'm like, okay, fine. Invisibility cloak it is, and then that kind of left me without a source of power, because that's where it was coming from, the internal. And so then I would turn to others. I think it's a conspiracy from the socioeconomic system, but all that aside. Liv's story was exactly mine in terms of, the Instagram. It's like, oh, there must be something terrible that they've discovered my deep, dark worthlessness. I'm like, or it could be that she's having trouble with her Instagram account. Which one's a little more likely? And then when you were talking about, crumpling up, crumpling up your own thoughts about things, and revering, the mentors, then I'm like, okay, that's another clue. And then also, you did this thing on tapping, and I've been listening a lot to tapping, this lady, Dr. Kim Duramo, and she does a lot of body-mind stuff. And so since she's kind of doing the two things that I'm inquiring about, I've been listening to her on my drive once a week to my client 40 minutes away. And what she sort of says is that we do this, about to launch into Tommy the Who, hold me, feel me, heal me, in terms of what we're seeking compassion. That it's the human, physical, emotional need for compassion. And if we're not getting it from someone, we're going to get more and more antsy about it. However, we can get it from ourselves, and we can get it from our higher self too. So the one thing that's kind of reflecting on what I'm hearing both of you say too, is my me too, is that one of the last chapters in this book that I finished Trust Your Vibes. There it is. Trust Your Vibes. That's the book and the cards that I used. And so one of the final chapters was, the daily implementation stuff. And it was kind of like, okay, reminded me both of being a co-author where I would write and clean and do this. And I'm like, okay, now I've done all I can, your turn. And then my co-author would take it, and then that would come back to me, and I'd be refreshed, and I could do some more stuff with it. Whereas that's kind of what I'm getting more in terms of not, both. It's like, yeah, you're ever so much more higher power, but it's not just like, okay, did I fuck up again? It's more like, okay, this is what I've got. I'm at my limit here. Your turn. And they're just like, oh, good, fun. I got some stuff for you too. So that's been really amazing. And then the other thing about the vectors, I just have to add this because it's my anatomy studies. I was just reading this morning with my intention that, yes, now I'm going to soak it in. Now I'm not just going to read it and go, I can't remember the names of all those muscles. It's like, stop. You've been at this for 3 years. It's time to just take in what you're meant to have. But like if we do a side, like we're stretching the side, but we're also contracting that side. So, and that's the agonist and the antagonist. And we think antagonist is the enemy, right? Ooh, they're out to get me. They're the antagonist. But in fact, there's always going to be the spiral. One's coming this way, one's going that way. And so that's only like the 2-dimensional. But then we start getting into 7 and 9 dimensions, and there's all kind of vectors going all kind of which way that we can hitch a ride on. In a sense, was the last part just came from I don't know where. But the rest of it I've been kind of thinking of.
Yeah. Well, I love that we can hitch a ride on the 7th dimensional vectors. That's great. That's perfect. Done. Mic drop. And that was channeling. Like that was just like, boom, there it is. There it is. There it is. Ah, I love it. I love it. Well, and also one thing that jumped into when you were talking about the antagonist and the agonist, that's the light and the dark too. They're just two sides of the same coin. There is no, like, we're stepping out of the duality where the light is good and the dark is bad. They're just two expressions of the same thing. Ultimately it's all love. I mean, some people will say ultimately it's all neutrality, but I find that boring. So I always go back to the love. I think it depends on what part of the star system we're from. But like, I am not inspired by neutrality. Just give up and go home now. But yeah, it's really, I love that.
In my current paradigm is that love is the same as space, and that we give each other space, that he doesn't mean anything by it. It doesn't mean anything that he hasn't called. It doesn't mean anything, could mean anything, and nothing and everything all at once in the same space. So I'm trying to explain this to my linear thinking husband, but it's a little tricky. And he's like, what do you mean? So, and I said, well, there's this beautiful book of poems that I can get a free sample in most of them on the Google Books. It's called The Bless the Space Between Us by John O'Donohue. And, and I said, well, the space, and we can negotiate in the space. It's like, kind of like if you have a Venn diagram, here's light and dark, but then, like the different, like sometimes the molecules are close together and they got patterns, and sometimes they're kind of spread apart and there's just little dabs of a little wider. And, so the space between us, meaning this relationship that's neither yours nor mine, but it's the thing we co-create. Well, he's like, do you mean space or do you mean space? I'm like, I don't know. Never mind.
It was a valiant try.
I love that you get it. I love that.
No, I do. That makes a lot of sense. Especially in terms of my past relationship. He needed a lot of space. I'm like, 2 weeks is too much space. A month is too much space.
Yeah.
Mama, if you know this Mama Gina stuff, Mama Gina's School of Womanly Arts.
Yeah, I've heard of her for sure.
To read her books because I thought they were just all so nasty. She's talking about private parts, which my parents used to call female genitalia privates, right? So you can see where the invisibility cloak idea might have come from. So, but she has this chapter, the Care and Something of Men, near the end. And she's very cheeky about, like I Love Your Inner Bitch was the one before this, which is about like be greedy and it's okay. It's like, whoa. So not being the good girl all the time, right? So, but this one is like, and she calls them SGs, which is sister goddesses. SG so-and-so didn't want to wait for the guy to finally come around. And, so that's fine. There's plenty of guys. But this other sister goddess found this guy, and she's like, put 2 years in the relationship with him going, no, I don't think that's for me. And then she would still just kind of be patient with him and date around on her own. And he got kind of jealous. It just sort of worked out because she had the long-term picture and she was willing to kind of nurture a little flower or something.
Yeah. You got to do what you got to do. That's all it comes down to. Like, what is your truth in the moment? And you get to follow your truth in the moment. And your truth is allowed to change. We get to change our minds. So, yeah. Mic drop to that too. All right. Well, I think those pieces...
I love your dancing, right, Amber?
What was that?
You are a dancer.
Oh, I love to dance. I dance.
Oh, it's like your whole spine. It's like, see, I just watching you, I'm already got better clavicles, which is one of my lifetime goals, to finally stand up straight, after just all those decades. Yeah, that was powerful. Also, synchronicities, what you're talking about, going to the mall and there, it's like, I kind of have this idea, maybe I'll just start throwing out some collective ideas, but it was like, like the synchronicity clan, or where we just get a place and we just type in the silly things, because the more we do that, because my first paper that got published in academics when I needed to start getting published was on synchronicity.
Oh.
And I got to it with this totally synchronicity thing. This girl started talking to me in the lobby, and then it turned out she was publishing a special issue on Carl Jung, but no, somebody already done one on synchronicity. All right, let me help you edit it. And then he decides not to revise and resubmit, so there's an opening for it. Okay, so synchronicity, I wanted to get my dissertation written on synchronicity, but they wouldn't let me do that in the state of Alabama. They don't have synchronicity in the state of Alabama, apparently, or Carl Jung either. At the time, I'm like, well, let me do it on listening. So that was my dissertation, was like, well, how can I just pay attention to not, because this invisibility cloak kind of goes both ways. It makes it hard to see and to hear and to listen. And so, just kind of being alert to those clues, internal and external, and how they go together is like, that Venn diagram thing, that's just always been very dear to my heart. And also the Jesus is the perfect Venn, man and God, and yeah. So anytime you want to talk about synchronicity, I'm here.
That sounds like powerful work for you around synchronicities, like however it wants to manifest, however it shows up. That feels like it would be really, really fun for you and fun.
Well, I want you to say you, and knowing that anytime you say you, you're saying us. I just need to know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Well, I think that's good for today, unless anything else wants to be said. Let me just check in and see if anything wants to be said on my end. No, I'm getting that we're good. I'm getting that those 2 pieces from you guys were, or 1 from each of your, whatever pieces came through were perfect. So, yeah.
That live is just so, it's just like you are lighting up so much that no wonder you're focusing on only one lit up place at a time in your life, and the rest of it seems dark by comparison, because you just would blow everything out if you had as much light in every single aspect as you got going on inside your girlfriend. That's all I got to say about that.
I love Rita.
It's like, all this other stuff, and it's the one light place. And I'm like, ha.
That's fantastic.
We're just not ready yet. That's all that is.
Yeah, cosign. I love you guys so much. This was so fun. Yay. And Kylie, please let us know if if anything comes through for you. Leave comments on this post or post in the Facebook group and let us know what comes through.
She can do her thing too. What's she getting? Because we did.
Yeah. If Kylie, if you have something, some, light bulb or just anything that comes through, please share it with us. We'd love to hear. We missed you, and yeah, keep us all posted on what's going on. And yay, so much fun. I think something's going to be happening in the next month or two.
It's been happening.
Something's going to be happening. I don't know what, but it's going to be fun. So.
Okay.
All right. See you guys soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.